them games you play. Ting ting from the MD crown. Can't trust no bitch, they slug me. Cause feel with bricks, that's money. Smoke with more weed than dirty.
Hello fellow flows, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited to be doing another video for you guys. I know it's been a while, but I was thinking of a topic to go over for my next video, and I finally decided on stress. Stress is a big thing for me that I like to cover. As you guys know, my Instagram is called Healthy Stress Free, and this week I have been encountering a lot of people that have been feeling stressed, that have been feeling down, that have been feeling isolated, that have been feeling like they want to give up, that they don't know what to do next, where to go next. So I wanted to talk about stress management and the source of stress. Alright, so let us begin. Oh, and before we begin, since I am now doing my oils of the week, sorry, I'm just moving this around so you guys can see me properly. Oils of the day. Since we're talking about stress, I have two for you. Spearmint. I love spearmint, guys. It literally smells like, you know, bubble gum? That's literally mint gum. That's literally what it smells like. It's amazing. And cedarwood. I have some cedarwood here too, which I love as well. It is a wood and essential oil, and so it has that kind of grounding, foresty kind of smell. So cedarwood, what is cedarwood good for? ADD, ADHD, and low GABA levels, as well as calming and anxiety. Okay? And I specifically want to talk about these. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I forgot my emotional essential oil book. Alright, there we go. I specifically want to talk about these two oils because we're addressing stress, so might as well manage stress in all ways that we can. And since you guys know I love to work with essential oils, might as well manage your stress with your oils as well. The food that you eat, the people you're around, the things that you're attracting into your life. It's not always going to be perfect. It never really is. Even I get stressed, guys. I'm probably going to tell you about a story of how I was stressed literally 2 days ago. So stress is part of life, but there's a way to manage stress so that it doesn't get to that chronic stress level. Okay? So emotionally, what is cedarwood good for? Okay. Cedarwood brings people together to experience the strength and value of community together. And that's very important to note, because I'm going to be tying stress to family dynamic. Those in need of cedarwood struggle to form bonds within social groups. This can often be due to an overdeveloped sense of individuality rather than allowing themselves to be supported by family, friends, or a community. They live by excessive self-reliance. On the other hand, the individual's difficulty forming social roots may also stem from feeling disconnected and separate from the human family. Cedarwood inspires the feeling of belonging and assists the heart in opening to receive the love and support of other people. It invites the strong-willed individual to couple the strength of individuality with the supportive power of community. Cedarwood supports individuals in seeing that they are not alone. Life is shared experience. Cedarwood also assists in opening the awareness of individuals to the support system that is already available to them, such as friends or family that have been overlooked. It invites individuals to both give and receive so they may experience the strengths of groups and the joy of relationships. Okay? So that is cedarwood, guys. And once again, is ADD, ADHD, low GABA levels, anxiety, and calming. Spearmint. My partner loves spearmint. He loves peppermint in general because of his allergies. Spearmint. So spearmint is good for cooling, focus issues, fatigue and depression, stress, and nervous issues. It's also good, guys, for the women, wink, wink, slow and heavy menstruation, headaches, and migraines. So y'all get your spearmint if you have some bad periods. And what is the emotional side of spearmint? Spearmint inspires clarity of thought and confident verbal expression. Usually when we're stressed, we have kind of like a fog, a cloud in our head. And sometimes it stops us from being able to express ourselves properly, and we're going to see that through my examples. Individuals in need of spearmint may hide their thoughts, opinions, and ideas by withholding their voices. Usually stress is an accumulation of things. Spearmint encourages inner clarity about one's personal convictions and opinions. It then assists the individual in translating that inner clarity into words. Spearmint promotes confidence in expressing oneself verbally, especially when speaking in front of groups of people. It helps individuals create an effective stage presence by infusing them with confidence. Spearmint also encourages individuals to take a public stand on behalf of their values and opinions. And it can be helpful for those who struggle with communicating clearly, are feeling scattered, and it's so funny that it's inarticulate because I'm struggling to articulate. So inarticulate, let me get some spearmint right now. To stumbling over one's words. It assists individuals in becoming emotionally clear about what they want to say and then saying it. In short, spearmint can help individuals access their inner light and convey the light to the world with clarity and confidence. Interesting. There we go. Spearmint and cedarwood, guys. Hope you can see that. And spearmint. Hope you can see that as well. There you go. All right. So let us get into it. Today we are talking stress. And we are talking stress because, as I said earlier, there's a lot of people that are going through stress. Yes, the pandemic is slowing down a little bit, but we were stressed even before the pandemic. There was just a spike in stress during the pandemic. But if through the pandemic you were able to really find yourself and get to know yourself in a better way, then I'm hoping that you were able to manage that stress better than you were prior to the pandemic. If not, this video is for you. If you feel stressed at this moment, feeling lack of energy, demotivated, anxiety, depression, just feeling like there's a burden on your shoulders, then we're going to get to the core of that in this video, okay? So what happens when you are stressed? When stressed, you are dispersed, and it kind of begins to affect everything around you, right? So think of a rain cloud. A rain cloud begins to get heavy, it gets gray, it expands, and it gets bigger, right? So it expands and it triggers a spillover. That's exactly like stress. There's little things that accumulate, that get grayer, that get bigger, heavier, and it spills over into stress. And this is usually an indication that something isn't getting done. So just like your hunger signal that turns on to let you know that you need to eat, your stress signal turns on to let you know that you need to do something about the things, the activities, the chaos, the erraticness, the misorganization that is going on in your life. So you need to really address the core of the problem when it comes to stress. Stress is a side effect of something else. It's like hunger again, a side effect of you not be there, your body telling you our stomach is empty. And I teach my clients to be aware of those signals before it gets to starvation, because when we're really hungry, we have tendencies, we have behaviors, hunger that come along with that hungerness. That's the same with stress. We have symptoms that come as a result of stress. But stress isn't the source of the problem. The source of the problem is that something wasn't getting done, and there's a spillover now that led to stress. All right? So how long does it take for you to realize that you are stressed? That's what I want you guys to note down. How long does it take me to realize that I am feeling stressed at this moment? I tend to realize I'm feeling stressed when I start pacing. I say fuck everything. I don't want to have to deal with this crap. I feel foggy and I want to do nothing. Like I'm even incapable of just thinking correctly because I'm just like, I don't want to have to deal with any of this. That's how I know I'm feeling stressed. And then I got to take a break. I step back. I know now what to do when I'm feeling stressed and to get that kind of sense of relief so that I can go back in about 30 minutes and do what I got to do. So that's stress management, being able to adapt when you know that there's stress in your energy field. When does stress occur? Stress usually occurs when you've put yourself in a tight spot. And I don't want to focus on how you've put yourself in a tight spot because you guys know that. I know when I put myself in a tight spot, maybe deadlines, maybe something I was supposed to do but that I kept pushing back, family drama, whatever it is, you know when you've put yourself in a tight spot. That's usually when stress sparks or awakens. It's like, this is not feeling right. This is not how we're supposed to be dealing with the situation. What I want to talk about is the reason you've put yourself in a tight spot. Usually it's because of lack of motivation, excuses, that's what pushing it back, avoidance, unhealthy habits, procrastination, bad time management, and a few other things. So this is usually the reason for the stress. There was something that involved you and your decision-making process that was not done. When this becomes a habit, when this becomes routine, that means that you have a limiting belief. What is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is a restriction that you have imposed on yourself. It's the restriction that you have said, this is my boundary and I'm not getting out of this box. It's something that our brain does when we've gone through a negative situation in our past. And notice how I said past. So we've gone into through a negative situation in our past and we're projecting it into our future. So we've limited our future because we want to avoid the negative situation. And I don't like that most people say that our brain holds on to negative situations in order to avoid that in the future. No, our brain holds on to negative situations so that we can adapt and move through them in the future. Because we are creatures of adaptation. We adapt to our circumstances and we find a way to survive. We find a way not just to survive, but to thrive. Watch my Survive and Thrive video if you guys don't get it. And, oh my gosh, that scared me, guys. I was like, what is going on? No, that's outside. Anyways, and why I'm specifically talking about limiting beliefs when it comes to stress is because the reason why we usually do not grow through something is because we believe that we're going to lose. There's a fear of being conquered. There's a fear that whatever we're against is going to win the battle. So we shy away from it. And that's when we avoid stress. That's when we avoid the negative situation. That's when we avoid the fear, avoid the doubt, avoid the anger, avoid whatever it is that we are avoiding. And we know that we are creatures of adaptation because look at where we are right now. We are 8 billion all over the planet, right? And that's going through war, going through famine, going through empires, going through kingdoms. We have still managed to be here and to advance, to progress so fast that we now have robots that are stripping, that are future strippers. So we have adapted so well to our environment that we kind of live in a life of leisure. But in that life of leisure, people have still held on to stress. People have still held on to anxiety, depression, PTSD, all these mental issues that have restrained them. And usually there's a trigger. And I want you guys to go back to that source, go back to that trigger, and course correct. So that's what I take my clients through. I take them through a visualization that allows them to course correct so that they get brain memory. So you guys know muscle memory? They get brain memory and are able to react if they're ever in that situation again. But it does take patience, it does take time, and it takes you knowing yourself. And that's why I said stress, you really need to know what your triggers are. And knowing what your triggers are means asking yourself questions, being aware of your habits, being aware of routine, being aware of how you talk to yourself, being aware of how you talk to others, and being patient. Patience is something I really had to work on, guys, because I'm not typically patient, but I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm becoming friends with patience. I'm like, I see your worth. I understand your value. And you need to have a talk, a relationship like that with all things in your life. So, people, food, movement, spirituality, career, finances. And it's hard. We have a lot to do. We have a lot to deal with in a lifetime. And if you're not dealing with it, then it only gets bigger, grayer, and expands until it spills over into stress. All right, guys? So, stress management. What is the first step? Recognizing the signs. How do you recognize the signs? By being aware of your behavior. And acting accordingly. Sorry. So, yes. So, being aware of your behavior and then acting accordingly so that you can adapt and overcome that situation so that next time you're not avoiding it, but you're moving through it, which is what stress management is. I'm not stopping you from being who you are. I'm not stopping you from feeling what you feel. I'm not stopping you from reacting the way you react, but there's a better way to deal with the things that come at us. There's a better way to acknowledge the things that we're not doing, and there's a better way to act. So why not take that route and make life a little bit easier for us, right? All right. That was okay. So I did have a little my notes because there was major points that I wanted to make, but now I want to bring it back to family. How many Canadians do you guys think feel stressed? Right? What percentage of Canada is stressed? Can you guys tell me? Can you guys guess? What percentage of our citizens are stressed? 48%. So that is if I'm in a room and my partner is in a room, more likely than one of us is stressed. And what level of Canadians is chronically stressed? So they're either stressed, anxiety, depressed. It is 26% of Canadians, right? So that means 1 out of 4 people, if you guys went to the grocery store, there's more likely like 25 people. 26% of those people are stressed. 26% of those people are going through something in their mind and their body that is restraining their future. That is restraining their future, basically. And why does that matter? That matters because it impacts the community around you. It impacts how you interact with yourself. It impacts how you interact with people. It impacts how you work. It impacts how you work out. It impacts how you eat because you're more likely going to go for comfort food than food that makes you feel light and ready to do something. Because in stressful moments, you don't really want to do something. You want to back away from doing something, or you want to do so much of something that you mess it up. And you have more mistakes that are done than productivity that is done, which can be frustrating, lead to frustration, because then maybe you got to redo it and you don't want to redo it because you're already stressed. So why want to redo something when you're feeling all that stress and frustration and anxiety and you're just like, no, I can't take it anymore, and then you isolate yourself. So you see what the circle of stress is. an accumulation of something because you're not handling the situation as you are supposed to be handling it, and then you emanate that energy. You guys know how I love to talk about how we emanate the thoughts that we have in our heads, the beliefs that we have, and the things that we do all comes from thought. So if you're feeling stressed, if you're doubting yourself, if you know that you didn't do what you were supposed to do and you're beating yourself up for it, then that's just going to come full circle, because you're going to act like that. You're going to act like that towards other people. And because you're aware that you're pushing people away, you're going to isolate yourself. So I was reading an article called Stress Becoming a Way of Life for Canadians. Isn't that so, something we could be so proud of? Stress becoming a way of life for Canadians. Is that what you guys want to be known for? I don't think so, right? What are the greatest causes? Sorry, not the greatest causes. What are the symptoms of stress? Because remember, stress is a trigger. There's a trigger, then there's stress, then there's the side effects of stress. So what is that? 50% of Canadians say stress has a negative impact on their sleep patterns. Sleep is one of the things I talk to you guys about the most. Sleep is the rest that you give your body. Sleep is the detoxification process that you can go through to kind of remove everything that you went through throughout the day, right? So if you're not sleeping well, then you're not getting rid of the things that you went through the day before, the stress that you went through before, the negative interactions that you had the day before, the burdens that you had the day before, and it seeps into your next day, and it seeps into the next day, and then seeps into the next day, until you get into a moment of exasperation, desperation, rock bottom. So remember I was telling you guys about my story about 2 days ago. So 2 days ago, I decided, you know what? I want to switch things up. Things are getting a little bit boring, so I want to switch things up. So I go to the park to pray. Usually I do my morning prayer in my house, but I was like, it's nice outside, let me go do it outside. So first time I go do it outside, I'm praying, and then I'm shuffling my cards as well, because I want to do my reading. If you guys don't know, I do readings as well, usually for family and friends. And so I'm packing up literally, and somebody comes up to me. He's on a bike, like a regular guy, just on a bike, and then he just stops. He's like, "Oh, you do readings?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, I'm feeling suicidal. I've been riding my bike for 2 days, and I don't know what to do. Can you do a reading for me?" So I do a reading for him. Beautiful. We ended up talking for 2 hours. He leaves happy. He leaves telling me I know exactly what to do. That's a great moment for me. I'm like, yay, that's awesome. I get home and I'm like, wow, like he legit calls me. And it's funny because he's not the only one. But he's like, you're an angel. Okay, I'm not bragging, guys, but he's like, you're an angel. And he's not like, I've had clients tell me that too. And I'm like, oh, for me, it's more like, oh, I don't see it as this huge thing. I just see it as accomplishing my mission, right? And then the next day, I get frustrated because it's one of my days where I don't have any clients, right? So, no. I have to do other stuff. I do other work, as you guys know. So I was like, I have to do other stuff. But I really wanted to be coaching. So I start stressing because I'm like, what I want to be doing is coaching. Am I doing something wrong that I can't coach every day? Because I want to coach every day. So I start this I am not enough limiting belief. I am not enough limiting belief, and I start stressing my day. And this is right after I had a beautiful day the day before, right? But because things are not going exactly as I want them to, I'm stressing my future and I'm emanating that energy. And then I kind of had like a mini breakdown, and I was like, you know what? No, Jess. So I go take a breath, take a breather. I watch some Kevin Samuels because I love some Kevin Samuels. And then I'm like, okay, I feel better. And I start cleaning my house. And I'm like, okay, I feel great. That was how I handled my stress, and that's what triggered my stress, my limiting belief, right? So I was like, I started playing it in my mind, even though I had had a great day, and it just messed up some of my day. Not a lot of my day, because I know how to handle my stress, but it messed up a good hour of my day. All right. 45% of employed Canadians say workplace stress has a negative impact on their home life. Of course, because it's obviously going to impact your sex life. Nobody wants to be having stress sex. That's not sexy. It impacts your love life, because if you're not communicating well, if you're not having sex, if you don't want to be around this person, then love life is shooting down. It impacts what the type of relationships you see yourself in. We have seen that there's a major spike in situationships. If there's stress and you don't feel like somebody else should be tolerating and dealing with your stress, then you're also obviously, and we're creatures of people, social creatures. So we're still going to want relationships, but because we're aware that we're not in the best of state mentally, we're going to put ourselves in situationships where we get more mental stress. It's going to impact family, how you interact with your kids, because you're going to be putting that stress on them. And trust me, kids feel energy. It's going to impact your relationship, your marriage, obviously still love. It's going to impact your responsibility, your sense of responsibility, because if you're feeling stressed at work and you come back home, you're not going to want to do anything. I have clients that work major hours, and I have to help them, not major hours, a typical 40-hour week, and I have to help them increase their energy, because by the time they get home, they don't want to do anything. They want to sit on the couch, eat dinner, and go to bed. But you have more stuff to do. So you need to be able to deal with your stress so that you're not depleting all that energy. If you guys want to increase your energy, watch my Bursting with Energy workshops. I give a bunch of cost-free tips on how to increase your energy. And then also it impacts your mindset. Okay? So that's your relationship with self. And your relationship with self is very, very important to your relationship with others. The way you treat yourself is the way you're going to treat others. And if you're treating others better than you treat yourself, then you're a fake. Sorry. Exercise, 42% emerges as Canadians' top activity for reducing stress. Exercise. Who doesn't love some exercise? I love some yoga. 87% disagree that seeking professional help to deal with stress is a sign of personal weakness. 87% disagree that seeking personal help to deal with stress is a sign of personal weakness. 29 have or are seeing a therapist, counselor. So 29% of the people that are stressed are seeking help. So there's actually a bunch of people walking around with stress, with anxiety, with depression that are not even getting help, guys. So if you have great stress management, help another. Give them a tip. Check on people. Send them my way, and I will definitely help them with stress. And 51% of Canadians agree that they are more cynical about things than they used to be. 27, a quarter of Canadians say that compared to 5 years ago, they have less confidence and trust in people in general. 63% say they now have less confidence in politicians. And so on, and so on, and so on. So stress, this is all because we started with stress. Stress impacts family, it impacts self, family, how you see others, community, and then your system. Your system. So you see how stress can start with just you, and then it can impact how a whole system operates. And that's why it's so important for me to manage stress, because if you guys know my story, the most important thing for me is family and community. And I find that it's so important because it allows the children to be able to manifest their best potential when they are in a home of two parents that know how to manage themselves and know how to interact with each other and know what direction they're going in. They know their foundation, they know their beliefs, they know their values, and they can transfer that to the child. And then the child that's in the next generation and that is adapting to the system around him, because that's what you're doing when you're birthing a child. You're allowing them to adapt to circumstances where you're getting older. Now they're growing through that situation through a different era, and they get to grow and take your values, the values that are important to you, with them. But if you don't know what your values are because you're so stressed by everything that you're not doing, everything that you're not dealing with, and this can be in any way, because if you watch one of my workshops, then you guys know that 85% of Canadians hate their workplace. But if 85% of Canadians hate their workplace, how did they end up there? It was the decision process that they made that brought them to them hating the place that they work in. So that means that stuff that they didn't deal with. So that means stuff that they didn't deal with, potential stress that can accumulate and impact that organization. Imagine in one organization, 85% of people don't like being there. Think of the work dynamic, the business, the interactions, the rewards that are not really rewards because you don't want to be there. And then you go home and you bring that with you. And then you're not sleeping well. And then you're not eating well. And then you're not interacting well. A whole vicious cycle, guys. It's crazy. So manage your stress, please. Recognize what the problem is. Recognize who you are, what you want to be creating, what you want to be experiencing, what you need. Because usually it's because there's a need that isn't being met, right? So what is it that you need? And give it to yourself. Give it to yourself for other people, if anything. Honestly, give it to yourself for you, because it's amazing feeling light. It's amazing feeling energetic. It's amazing feeling motivated. It's amazing feeling productive. It's amazing feeling happy and joy. But give it to yourself for others as well, because we live in a community. We're social creatures. We need each other. And the way we've been isolated, especially during the pandemic, there's more of that need within us. And when we don't get it, there's a stress, there's a spillover, and there's a breakdown. And then there's suicidal thoughts, there's depression, there's anxiety, there's all these mental illnesses that we're not really, if we look at the general picture, we're not really to deal with on a huge scale. So it's better to deal with in small portions, on a smaller scale. I hope that was helpful, guys. Let me know in the comment section if there's anything else that you want me to go over or reiterate. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye, fellow flows!